Alright, what is going on, everybody? It's Gis again. I'm going to be covering the Phantom Muspah this week. Just another one of those consistent moneymaker bosses. Feel like I should put it into the repertoire, get you going on it if you do want to get going on it. Disclaimer at the beginning of this, Muspah is a little bit tanky, so doing these budget setups, as you can see, we're less than 5 mil in this Void setup, most of which is our Aranea boots. The Aranea boots are completely unnecessary. They're just a nice hybrid boot that we don't have to really worry about any negatives. And then, of course, the Void you could just go get whenever you have the requirements to do so. 100 Combat and the Western Province Hard Diary. Not too big of a deal. We are on my alt account today. I am 101 Combat. This is my PKing alt. That's all I do is run around in the wilderness. That's why I'm in Ferox. But I figured, hey, why not? Let's do it on the alt. Maybe give some people a little bit more of a relatable starting point. So the Muspah is a little bit tanky. These budget setups can make your kills take a little bit long. Is all. Like, they're not going to be necessarily difficult. It's just going to take a little bit of time. So upgrade where you can. I'm doing this in, like, absolute minimum. Like, we only have the base trident over here and the rune crossbow. Obviously, this could be a dragon crossbow, and you immediately get the dragon bolts over adamant bolts. Like, these are adamant enchanted bolts. With the dragon crossbow, you can get the dragon enchanted bolts, and that's just naturally a lot more DPS. Of course, a swamp trident, Eye of Ayak, Sanguinesti staff, any power staff you want to bring, you can go ahead and do that. There's not much to talk about with the gear. It's just bring your best ranged and mage setup. If you do not have Void, but you still want to give this a shot, you can just use like a Blue Moon setup plus, you know, God D-Hides or something like that. The damage is fairly comparable. It's really not that big of a deal. Once you have a little bit more budget, I do recommend you get off of Void and use some gear that's a little bit more, you know, got a little bit more oomph in it. The Blue Moon plus the Swamp Trident, and then, you know, maybe like some Huey hides and dragon crossbow, stuff like that. Especially when you have a Bofa. If you have a Bofa, you definitely want to be using that. It's very good. But you definitely want to bring a swap. Do not just camp your ranged at this boss. I see a lot of people do that. It's not worth it. Like, yes, you'll get kills and it'll be fine, but there's no reason to not swap into mage gear for the melee phase. It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, why would you take less DPS over just, you know, clicking 4 items in your inventory and doing more damage? I don't know. Do what you will. It's totally fine, I guess. Like, yeah, you'll get kills, but bringing this little tiny switch is very, very good to do, and I highly recommend you do it. And this is a great boss to learn some gear switching at, because you have plenty of time to switch your gear. It's not like a time constraint. If you don't switch your gear immediately, the world's going to explode, right? So do yourself a favor, learn a little bit, and you'll be out to the races. So ring slot, it is empty over here because I don't have Desert Treasure 2 done. This would be a Ring of Shadows, but I don't have it. So if you do have a Ring of Shadows, you can go ahead and bring it, or you can bring Archer's Ring, or a Seer's Ring, or Magus Venator, whatever. Ring slot's not that big of a deal here. If you have a ZCB, obviously a Light Bearer is going to be your best friend, but we don't have a spec, so Light Bearer doesn't matter for us, but usually when you're specking, Light Bearer is the way to go. We have a Forgotten Brew to power up our staff, we have a Range Potion to power up our Rune Crossbow, and we have a Teleport to get there, some Prayer, some food, Teleport out, and Ice Barrage Runes. We are on the Ancient Spellbook. We are not going to be on Standard Spellbook. Muspah does have a 65% air weakness, but I have found that the power staffs sort of just do the same thing, and using Entangle to freeze Muspah is kind of annoying. I'll teach you how to do the step back method, but it's not going to be very important for us to do that because we're going to be freezing Muspah, but in the event that you do need to step back, I will show you how to do so. As far as our bolts go, we're going to bring rubies. Once he gets to around 200 HP, we're going to switch over to the diamonds, and then when he gets to 127 or lower HP, he will go into his prayer shield phase, and we'll be using those sapphires, and then once we're out of the prayer shield phase, we will go back to diamonds. Simple as. So I'm going to go ahead and teleport over there, and we'll talk about some mechanics. There isn't much going on with Muspah. He has 2 modes, not necessarily phases, but modes. He can either be in ranged mode or melee mode. And when you start the fight, it'll be a 50-50. If you do have the... This is just a sidebar. If you have the Desert Treasure 2 ring, and you have unlocked the Duke teleport, you can bring that over the Basalt that I had, and it'll be on your ring slot. So you can just wear that, and it'll be totally fine. But if you do have the Duke teleport, use the Duke teleport to get here. Mechanics of Muspah. 2 different modes, melee or ranged. It's 50-50 when you walk into the room, and all you're going to do is respond with your protection prayer. If he is in melee mode, you're going to be in your mage gear. If he is in range mode, you're going to be in your ranged gear. things you need to look out for. Randomly, there's no pattern to it really. Randomly, he will lift both of his hands over his head and he will charge a purple ball to throw at you. You need to protect from magic. In that time, when you hear him do a weird, really annoying noise, you're going to protect from magic. If you do not protect from magic, you will start getting smited a little bit. You'll take a big chunk of damage and it won't feel too good. So make sure you're hitting those protect from magics. That's like the big thing that you need to look out for. Next thing he can do is spawn moving spikes that are going to like move towards your character. They move 1 tile per 2 ticks. You just need to make sure they don't hit you. And after about 20 seconds, they'll just freeze and be where they are. Not a big deal. So at 75% and 50% HP, he will do a special attack based on what he spawned in the room. You don't really need to pay attention to this because everything is reactable, but at 75% and 50% HP, those are when the specials are going to happen. It'll either do the homing spikes that I just mentioned, or it will do lightning clouds. And for the lightning clouds, if you want to go over here in your rune light and get the tile packs plugin, you can just go over here, type in Muspah, and it'll have the Muspah safe spot for you. It'll just be this big old red square on the ground. You just go stand on it for the most part. I'll show you in the fight how that works, but the lightning clouds are just avoid the clouds, sort of like Akka, tornado phase. You want to just avoid those, and you'll be good to go. At 127 HP or less, it will go into the beginning of the prayer shield phase, and what's going to happen is Muspah will go into the center of the room and slam the ground after about 5-ish seconds. All you need to do is run behind one of the hardened spikes for cover. And then when he slams the ground, you'll be completely safe, you'll be fine, and then it'll go into prayer shield phase. And what we want to do is use our sapphire bolts. You can flick smite if you like, if you have the timing right, but sometimes it'll line up a little bit weird and you'll take protect range off and go into smite, and then you'll get hit for like a 20 because you mistimed it. So up to you. When you feel comfortable, you can start flicking smite, but mostly you can just rely on some sapphire bolt procs. If you do have the Candor and Hard Diary, this is going to be great for you. If you don't, you'll just get a little bit less bolt procs. It is what it is, not a big deal. I will mention the antler guard that this guy's wearing. This is convenient. If you do want to bring that, you can. It's a nice little hybrid offhand that'll give you a little bit of ranged and mage accuracy, along with a little bit of ranged strength, I believe. I just didn't include it in the budget setup. We could talk about the shield skip, but in our gear, we are not going to be able to do that, so I would not worry about it. If you do have a boatload of money and you want to run Muspah, go ahead and learn the shield skip. Loosely put, you have to do enough damage before it goes into shield phase to have killed it, and then it will skip shield phase beyond 1 HP, and then you just kill it afterwards. But we can't do that, so we're not going to worry about it. The last thing to mention about Muspah will be when he's in melee mode, all you got to do is switch into your mage gear, freeze it, protect from melee if you need to, but then you're just kind of auto-attacking from there. And then in the range form, you're just protecting range and auto-attacking. There's not that much going on with this boss. For the step back method, all you need to do is when it's in melee mode, you're going to run, do a little bit of running while it's approaching you. It'll hit you for a 0. The hit splat will then go away. There will be an empty tick, and then you click back, and you should repeat this process. So I'll try to show that if I can, maybe at the beginning here while the Muspah is approaching us. If it's in melee mode, I'll try to show it. Otherwise, I'll try to show it secondary in the second phase. So second mode, whatever you want to call it. There's not really phases of this. I guess it's like a main phase and shield phase are the 2 phases, and it just changes modes. Let's get up in there. Oh, I guess thresholds. We can mention thresholds really quick. When it's in ranged mode, after it takes 100 damage, it'll switch to melee mode. And then in melee mode, after it takes, I think, 80 damage, it'll switch back to ranged mode. All you need to do when that happens is just pay attention to the Muspah. You'll see a little animation. And then you need to just move 1 tile away because it'll spawn a spike under you. Just move 1 tile away and you'll be good to go. So let's get into the live kill. There's not much else to talk about with this boss. It's fairly simple, but it is a little bit tanky, so it can take a while. So we're going to Forgotten Brew up. Don't worry about the minus stats. It doesn't matter, and we're going to range pot up. Alternatively, you can go in if you want to save a little bit of juice. You can go in and just pot the thing that you're going to be using, right? So if it was in melee mode, I would switch to my mage gear, Forgotten Brew. I wouldn't range pot until it switches, and then I would range pot, right? But I'm not going to be concerned about that. We're just going to go, okay? Let's just go get this guy dead. Let's see what we're starting. We are starting Brown is melee, green is ranged. We are melee. Okay. So let's see if I can get us a little step back here. There it is. Hit splat, empty, step back. Hit splat, empty, step back. Just like that. Hit splat, empty, step back. Right? So if you need to do that, you can go ahead and do that, but we are just going to do this. Okay, we're going to splash real quick, though. Leave protect melee on, because sometimes this can happen. Okay. You can take it off here if you want to, but for the most part, leave it on just in case. You never know. I'm actually going to get to his corner right here. Get ready to start running, and get ready to hit him with a freeze again. As you can see, it's not fantastic, is it? But eventually you will hit. I promise. Cue the Jeopardy music. Okay, so here we gotta move, switch, get that protect range on, and start shooting. Make sure you have your ruby bolts. And there's nothing you can really do about this. It's just kind of sit here and shoot, you know. Keeping an eye out for that, protect magic, and back to protect range. That's our safe tile, by the way. Over there, that red one. For the lightning cloud special. Alright, so we're back to melee. Get a freeze on him. Prayer pot up when you need to. Get ready to, just like pre-run to a corner that's going to take him a second to get to. So here's the homing spikes. We've done enough damage up here. Homing spikes are coming. We don't really have to worry about these too much. Switch it back over to your ranged gear. Just stay on the opposite side of the room. Try not to miss ticks while you're running around. A nice ruby bolt proc. Switch back to this. Hit him with a nice little freeze. And we're going to splash, so make sure you're moving. Make sure you move. If you don't move, then he will hit you for, like, through your prayer. So make sure you move. You can long range here from the safe spot tile, sort of. If he goes all the way over there, then you can't. So you can just hang out. You don't have to attack him. You are allowed to, but you don't have to. You can just chill out here and, like, heal up if you want to. It's totally fine. Get a freeze on him. That might switch him. Overhead first. Always make sure you get your overhead first, right? Always do your overhead before you switch to your offensive prayer. Make sure you get your overheads correct. Because that is what matters. And make sure you don't forget to switch to freaking augury. Noob. Alright, so we should go to shield. Well, if we hit anything, a number. There we are. So, go into your range gear, put these on, get protect range ready. Make sure you're behind spikes. You're good to go from here. There's a nice little sapphire bolt spec. So check this out. When he calculates, we can switch to smite. Calculated smite. When we see his animation, we can smite. Alright, and we're back to diamonds. Why is my protect magic on? Hello? Okay, don't do that. You still have to protect from magic. I don't know what... I guess I misclicked. It happens. Pay attention to your floor. That will happen just while you're doing this phase. The longer you take doing the last phase, the more spikes will spawn around you. So, be sure you're paying attention. I'll get one more kill for us here. One more example should be good enough. Hopefully I don't screw it up again at the end there with randomly putting Protect from Magic on, but here we are. Really the big thing you need to make sure you're doing is getting your overhead protection prayer right in this fight. That's like the big deal. Overhead protection and movement are both very necessary to do here, so make sure you're doing those. So we're going to try and open with a freeze again. There we are. We can turn off Protect from Melee here if we want to, because we know when he starts moving, we should put that back on, just in case. But once we do 80 damage, we also know he's going to switch. So turn this back on just in case you splash or freeze, and you can turn it off. but we're immediately switching to that. Make sure you move every phase. Transition, move, catch that. The sound is very obvious to catch the magic attacks, which is nice. He's spamming it. Turn this on just in case. He gave us some triangulating homing spikes there. He spawned us on each side. So we do have roughly 15 seconds to go before this harden. Gotta make sure we do not get hit by those, because if you do get hit by them, then you will get a little bit stunned like that and heal a boss. It happens. And there they're done. That's probably the most dangerous situation right there, is when you are moving and you need to quickly access your Protect from Magic. Should be one more hit and we'll send. Send. There it goes. Splasher. Here we are. And he's going to go to the middle of the room. So this is also going to break the freeze. I'm just going to take this time to heal up instead of trying to go for some damage. Need to get a shot off. You'd have to re-attack here. And go for the freeze. Make sure you move the tile. Get that overhead correct. And go back to shooting. Make sure you're running. See, we didn't run away from him, so we took the damage there. If you run adjacent, you'll take the damage, but if you run away, you won't. But we were kind of screwed with pathing there because we couldn't go into these spikes. It happens. Make sure your diamonds are on at this point. Get ready on Prey Mage if you need. It's going to go into that. Heal up here. Make sure you get your Sapphire Bolts on. And send. Do not risk flicking Smite when you see the magic attack happening. I think we're same ticked, so I'm just going to leave it alone. Yeah, it looks like we are. It's fine. And step out of the way. Back to your diamonds. And then what I'm also going to do is move into this more open space. Because we're going to get surrounded by spikes if we do no damage. And we would start getting cut off over there. So I want to make sure I'm in this more open space. Make sure you're paying attention to the floor. And paying attention to that overhead. He always likes to get you with that one. He makes you move and he makes you go to your prayer. So I just leave prayer book open. I don't need to heal or do my prayer here because I can do that when the kill ends, right? I don't need to panic over having a little bit low prayer there. But that is the Phantom Muspah in a budget setup on a not maxed account. I mean, I guess my range and major max. My HP's not, my prayer's not, my agility's not for like running around, but there's not much to this boss. I do hope this helped you a little bit get some kills, and I will catch you guys in the next guide next week. We should have Yama coming up next week, so I can get you guys into that, both solo and duo. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you stick around, subscribe, and like, and comment, and oh my god, I gotta leave.